and welcome everybody to another episode of Make It Make Sense, a Catch Cortez podcast. It's your boy Hirsch in the building. Got my boy Rick with me. You know what it is. Just the original two OGs tonight with you. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us and everything. So we're going to hop right into it, Rick. Super Bowl, let's just be honest, wasn't the most entertaining Super Bowl that we've seen in some time. But at the same time, kind of close in the beginning. But overall, just, you know, the Seahawks dominated the Patriots 29-13. Give me your initial thoughts of what you thought about the game.
I really feel like the first half, especially really the first three quarters, right? I feel like we got the game everybody like was excited about. Like the lack of excitement is what we got for the first three quarters, right? Everybody was like, all right, at least around here. And I know, you know, out there, but I'd say more where you're out there closer to Seattle and all that stuff. So I'm sure everybody was super excited. But as you know, here back at home, we too far from Seattle to really be hyped for them, but we'd rather them win than the Patriots. But we didn't really have a dog in the fight. So we were just, it's the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny, you know, we were definitely more excited about that, but we weren't really here for the game. We were here for food and good times. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a dominant performance. I mean, first off, it was 9-0 going into halftime, right? And a lot of people were going, even the commentators were going, that this game could change, that it could actually get more interesting. I'm sorry, I take that back. It was 6-0. So a lot of people were thinking the Patriots only needed, a touchdown to get back into the game. But then Seattle just kind of exploded in that fourth quarter with two defensive turnovers and one of them going for a touchdown. The Seahawks just looked very dominant. I was surprised that the MVP went to Kenneth Walker, only because they kept talking about how much the kicker had broken. He broke the record or whatever for like the most kicks in a game. So, I mean, what do you think? Did you think it should have gone to Jason Myers? I mean, he went 5 for 5, had 17 points. Or do you think it going to Kenneth Walker, was deserving? He went 27 carries, 135 yards. No touchdowns.
You're saying no touchdowns. Yeah, so I think it should have went to Jason Myers for the sole reason of that he broke a record, right? That was held by Adam Vinatieri, if I'm not mistaken, who got the MVP when he broke the record, right? So yeah, I think it should have went to him. I mean, and that doesn't take away from Kenneth Walker's great game. I mean, like you said, 27, 29 carries, 130 something yards. And granted, the passing game wasn't popping like it usually was. So he was the engine that got them to the point of where they were kicking those field goals. But yeah, if the person scoring these points up until the fourth quarter, is giving you these leads, then that's who should get it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold went 19-38, 202 yards, 1 touchdown. Did get sacked once. When you look at the other side, Drake May, 27-43, 295 yards, but 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got sacked 6 times. And I think that kind of speaks to the defense. I mean, Rick, we both played football. And if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you know the saying that defense wins championships. And that's literally what this was. I mean, constant pressure, multiple turnovers, making Drake May look like the young quarterback that he is, was what kind of really did it for the Seahawks, right? I mean, you look at Drake May, he had a great season, was an MVP candidate, was almost an MVP favorite to win it. A lot of people were thinking that it should have been him. But then for him to go into this game, and we won't say, lackluster performance, because he still threw for 2 touchdowns and 295 yards, but he just looked rattled, right? It wasn't the same, like, I'm not going to say the Legion of Doom, but that defense was just shutting everything down.
Yeah, it's one of those, of course, the comparisons from the Legion of Boom, and they branded themselves with the Dark Zone or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But I mean, I didn't know much about it. I think just because the time difference and we don't get too many Seattle games, right? well warranted. I knew nothing. I mean, probably could name more than 2 or 3 players on that entire defense, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they came out, yeah, like you said, Drake May was an MVP candidate. I think he was runner up right behind Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And they made him look like every bit of that second year quarterback that he is. And I expected it to be a defensive, kind of a battle at least early on. I did not expect them
Mm-hmm.
to shut him down the entire game. And yeah, I mean, they did their thing. Shout out.
Yeah, Derek Hall, Byron Murphy both had 2 sacks each. Riley Mills had 1. Devon Weatherspoon from the corner position had a sack. I mean, they were sending pressure from everywhere, and that just kind of speaks to what the Seahawks are gonna like look to do in the future. And the one thing I will ask, we'll talk about a little bit before we move on to what I want to really talk about is the halftime show. But let's talk about this for a moment. Sam Darnold, right? I mean, this guy went from being made fun of for his classic bit of it was like seeing ghosts out there to now an MVP, like a Super Bowl champion, right? What do you think this does for guys like him, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, and really, I hate to say it, but now we got to take Sam out of that conversation, and now we have to move him out because the dude's he's a Super Bowl champion, right? Daniel Jones don't have that, Baker don't have that. So what do you think this does for Sam Darnold? Do you think that he can do it again? And not to try to jump ahead, who do you think out of like that group of guys that are kind of getting that second chance, who do you think could actually win a Super Bowl out of that group? But let's start with Sam Darnold. What does it do for him and his legacy, right?
Yeah, no. Sam Darnold's legacy for me has always been like the quarterback that we should have gotten and like never had a real chance, right? Going out of that, I think it was 2018 draft, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all those groups of quarterbacks that we know all about, right? That was my favorite quarterback in that draft. And looking back, right, that was Mayfield, him, Josh Rosen, who was nowhere to be found 2 years after.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen wasn't in that one, was he? Josh Allen was in that. Was he in that?
I don't think so.
He might have.
It's crazy that Sam Darnold has a ring before him, right?
Exactly, right.
Josh Allen, right? Lamar Jackson,
yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely wasn't in it because Lamar Jackson was in that at the end of the first round. But yeah, so out of that group of guys, him being the one, like you said, to have to be a journeyman there for a little bit and then really get his footing in Minnesota last year, and us being really surprised that they didn't keep him, and now he's winds up in Seattle winning a ring a year later. And now I'm sure Minnesota's kicking themselves, but his legacy now is really
he balled so hard this year that it got the GM in Minnesota fired because one of the sole reason was because you let Sam Darnold walk out the door
right to a Super Bowl win. But yeah, I think his legacy is twofold. It's that perseverance, who was able to keep going, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. But the other thing is, and we've already seen this from the last few years, he is now like the poster child of that. Just because a quarterback didn't work in those first few years, he's not necessarily a bust. Don't give up on him. It doesn't matter how many of those early years, what he looks like. It just takes time. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to come in and be Joe Burrow or Andrew Luck. Like Geno Smith, we're seeing it with Baker. Right. A lot of those
Daniel
quarterbacks
Jones before the injury.
Daniel Jones. Yeah. Like, it just takes time, man. Even if you do see flashes early on. I mean, even Trevor Lawrence is having, he had those first few years, but even now he's really starting to look like what he was supposed to be. You know what I mean? So not everybody's just going to come in and dominate. And I think Sam Darnold is starting to be, the poster child of that, 8 years after he got drafted.
Yeah. And part of me, I don't want to make this about the Colts, but I have to say, because when you were saying all these things, it's just like I'm hearing Anthony Richardson in the back of my mind. I do feel like, unfortunately, he is going to leave the Colts at some point, and that's when he's actually going to start making that impact in his career. But let's look at it. Like Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, like no disrespect to Geno, but like the team that he's currently on is nowhere near like being a Super Bowl contender or even like a playoff contender. So like, let's look at Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones for a moment. Like Daniel Jones coming like out of an Achilles injury, Baker coming off of like a struggling season where he dealt with some injuries himself. Um, now that we know that these guys have kind of had that resurgence, do you see either one of them kind of completing this like Sam Darnold thing of not really having the greatest start, but eventually figuring it out and becoming a champion?
Oh, I mean, Daniel Jones was on that, right? Like
Mhm.
that crazy start for the Colts, that they were on the trajectory, right? Like I
Yep.
can't see anything otherwise that was telling me, and then some things happened, right? Then it seems like they went to Germany and came back a completely different team. Um, and whatever you want to call it, right? Whether it was the sauce
Mhm.
trade, I mean, obviously that didn't mess them up on the field, right? But the sauce trade, taking the picks, you get back,
Mhm.
and then people kind of start getting banged up. You lose some offensive linemen. Of course, you lose DJ himself. Um, so that stuff happens, right? But if you're
Mhm.
asking me who of that group of guys that I can see, I mean, it's got to be Baker, just because he's got weapons around him. He's got more of a solid team more than anyone else, I would say. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, and he's got that grit in him, as we've seen. Like, he started in Cleveland, he went to Carolina. He's kind of had a very similar trajectory to Sam, where he went to all these same teams almost. I can't
Mhm.
remember if he was in.
He
No,
was
he
he was
wasn't.
with the Rams.
Yeah,
He was
he's
with
with
the
the
Rams.
Rams, right? Yeah, not San Francisco,
Mhm.
like Darnold was. But yeah, so he's been in these similar places in similar trees of coaches, right? I
Mhm.
think if it's not Tampa Bay, he could definitely end up in a situation where they're quarterback-ish away. And we didn't even know Seattle was technically a quarterback away, right? But
No, we did
but
not.
because they had Geno, you know what I mean? They were just
Mhm.
kind of growing. But I think if he can get in the right situation like Sam did, hey, sky's can be a limit.
Yeah, before we move over to talk about Drake May, let's talk about the fact that we look at that Patriots team and one person that didn't really have like big numbers, but obviously was the offensive player of the year, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, you look at this group of guys that he has around him. Like Charbonnet, it was tough losing him in the playoffs, but Kenneth Walker stepped up. And really it was him and like they had Shaheed back there, but he only ran the ball once. I mean, 27 carries in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's your team going, we're going to rely on you and like we're going to put this kind of like essentially on your back and you're going to
Yeah.
kind of carry us. I mean, he had one run for 30 that I think he almost broke all the way, but it's just that, having him and then Cooper Kupp, 6 catches, 61 yards. I mean, this is a guy that's a two-time champion. AJ Barner had the first touchdown of the game, but he had 4 receptions, 54 yards. So, like, you look at this team, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you. And as a person that does live in Washington, I was literally in Seattle this weekend. Like you saw a lot of people with the Seahawks jerseys, like the needle had the 12 flag waving from the top. Like Seattle was ready and they were really into it. But it's just like you look at this team, and I never once thought like, oh yeah, Jackson Smith and Jig was the secret piece. He was. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like Kenneth Walker. I had him on my fantasy team, and at the beginning of the season, I was like, man, I don't know what to do with this guy. And then towards the end, he won me a championship.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nobody thought that. I mean, we saw throughout the season that the Seahawks were the team to beat in the NFC. Like, they were in the conversation all season, all year. I would have loved to have seen a Colts and Seahawks Super Bowl because we would have two quarterbacks that were like rejuvenating their careers and everything. But at the same time, it is what it is. But I just want to kind of speak on like the fact that Sam Darnold does have great receivers around him. I guarantee they're going to find a way to keep Cooper Kupp a little bit longer. Jackson Smith and Jigba is only going to get better. They're only going to add more weapons. If free agency is going to happen, they'll be able to add hopefully some other receivers, add a little bit of more depth to that room. But with Shaheed and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, that's a good three right there. If we're being honest.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Drake May for a moment. I mean, tough way for his season, and nobody thought the Patriots were going to go to the Super Bowl. Granted, it should have been Bills and the Patriots in the AFC Championship. Unfortunately, Bo Nix got hurt. I think it's a different game. I'm going to say this. I think it's a different game. If Denver was the one that actually goes, and if Bo was healthy, I think it's a completely different Super Bowl, more entertaining, higher scoring points. it would have been, I think it would have been more entertaining in the aspect of the game, right?
Mhm.
But Drake May, young guy, got drafted, how, New England fell in love with him. I think that obviously that's the quarterback of the future. But at the same
Easily.
time, tell me if you agree or disagree. This may not be his only Super Bowl he's ever going to play in his career, especially with what Mike Vrabel's doing with that New England team. Think they're going to be a problem. I hate to say, I think they are going to be a problem in the future because he's good, man. I mean, we saw it all year.
I agree. No, I think as long as everything goes right, the way it's looking today, February what? February 10th,
Mhm.
2 or 3 days after the Super Bowl. Absolutely. Yeah. It looks like we'll be seeing, unfortunately, the Patriots in this position or a close position for years to come with Drake May as their quarterback.
Now,
Um,
granted, we got to see how Patrick is next year.
exactly.
We
That's what
got
I
to
was gonna
see.
say. You still
Mhm,
have this version of the if you want to call them old heads or the big dogs, you still got them there. That he
mhm,
now has to, well, now they know that he's up and coming and they now have to get through because he came out of nowhere in a sense, right? So
mhm.
he is that next, up and coming top tier quarterback they now have to be aware of. Um, and yeah, the Mahomes is, and even the Allens, right? As long as he can continue to get
Joe
weapons around
Burrow's
him,
not going nowhere.
right? Yeah, so
Trevor
they all
Lawrence is
fight
getting
for that
better.
spot. Exactly.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, and you keep
Because you
having
got
these
to think,
pieces.
you look at this young group, like you have Jaden Daniels, who is going to get better. Hopefully, he comes back from his injuries. He's going to be good. Young talented guys. Cam Ward, I think, is going to be somebody that like will eventually become like a Pro Bowl, even though the Pro Bowl doesn't really mean shit nowadays. I mean, no offense, who wants to play flag football?
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like not to take it away, it's still a great thing a great accomplishment to have on your record. But yeah, I mean, I am interested to see what's going to happen going into next season with like what the Patriots are going to do to kind of help Drake. I definitely think that they need some more receiver help. Like obviously Diggs is good. Was it Kayshon Boutte?
Mhm.
He's pretty good. But I feel like they could, like Hunter Henry was good too at that tight end position, but Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, like they're good at the receiver position. I just think maybe a little bit more depth at receiver. Give him like maybe another target or something. But
Yeah.
defensively, they got their gaps that they need to fix too. But um, I'm excited what's going to happen with the NFL. There's a lot of young quarterbacks out there. I do think that we're going to start seeing Super Bowls like these where we're not going to start seeing the Chiefs in it as much. Like the old heads, like the Rams and Stafford. Like I think we're going to start seeing some change up coming, and I'm really happy about it. But if there's anything else you want to add about the Super Bowl, let's get into the halftime part, bro.
No, I think the game spoke for itself in that, we didn't really get too much excitement until the fourth quarter. And I mean, and even then the game kind of seemed a little bit out of reach, right? By the time any scoring
Mhm.
started happening. So yeah, the most exciting part, like, yeah, came in this part we're about to talk about for sure.
Bro, let's go ahead and get into it, bro. Everybody called it the Benito Bowl, bro. Everybody, a lot of people were saying that they were really just watching the Super Bowl for this.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to admit this. I actually, like I said, we left Seattle Sunday morning and got back. I took a nap. I slept through the whole first quarter.
Mhm.
I woke up in the second quarter. I was like, oh, it's the second quarter. You know what that means? Like, we got to get up. So I came downstairs. And man, let's just talk about the importance of this performance, right? Um, I understand that you're not a Spanish speaker, but I'm half black, half Mexican. So this was something that was like I compare it to when I saw Black Panther for the first time, right? Like I don't want to try to sound stupid, but it was like that representation, right? Having somebody up there speaking Spanish, showing love to like not only Puerto Rico, but like all the countries. But I even talked about how like and this is the one thing, right? I don't want to make it super political, but like here we always talk about like, oh, this is America, this is America, this is America. No, we are the United States of America. But when you talk about America, that's all the countries in North and South America, right? Like
Yep.
we don't just own the word America. And I think
Correct.
that's the part that he at the end showing the football that says we are, together, all like
Together
this
we
is
are
all
America.
America. So first off, just that aspect of it and the sense of the unity, right? Like I don't want to even really talk about this, but like the fact that they try to have a Super Bowl halftime show for themselves, and we know who we're talking about when I say themselves, but they try to have their own filter and have their own in their own thing because they couldn't accept the fact that somebody was going to do a performance in Spanish, right? Leading up
Hmm.
to it, what were we hearing from those people, over there going, oh, he's going to come out there in a dress and he's going to do this, he's going to do that. I didn't see him come out in a dress, right? Like this man came out there in a cold outfit that literally had his name on the back of it, an all white jersey. Like that's cold, right? Like he came
Yeah.
out there from the moment it started, it was captivating, right? Like, the show kind of started with them being in the sugar fields, and then that's how it kind of transitioned. And then we go from that to New York City, and then we go from that to the power the power grid with the poles and everything. Like everybody knows, Puerto Rico has those issues during storms and hurricanes that their electricity gets wiped out because they have no strong power grid. I mean,
Hmm.
all these things that he brought to the stage, like the small details, like once again, being a Hispanic kid, I remember going to parties, weddings. It'd be, it's 11 o'clock at night. My parents are still going. I'm sleeping on the chairs. Like that part we went and woke up that little boy. I've been there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like it was just really cool seeing that representation. I understand that some people did not, a lot of people didn't understand some of the things that he was saying. Like at the beginning, he gave his full name. He said, I'm performing at the Super Bowl because I believed in myself. And you should believe in yourself too, because like we can accomplish great things, right? Like it's just a sense of unity, right? There were like, and I will say this real quick, just to kind of like laugh. You see all these things on social media, and once again, a lot of those people were saying like, "Oh, this is going to be a weird halftime show," like, you know, people in dresses and this and that, blah blah blah. I think it was some of the most beautiful women that like we like that were on there, like that's so it kind of blows my mind. They try to build this narrative, and it was like, oh, it was inappropriate for kids, this and that, blah, blah. Do we need to bring up the Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake thing? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, do we need to bring up Shakira and Jennifer Lopez? Like, they did a halftime show. Nobody complained about that, right? But it's just the biggest thing that blows my mind, Rick, is that when we were younger, nobody gave a damn about the halftime show, right? Like the halftime show is like, oh, if it's somebody you like, okay, cool, I'm gonna watch it. If it's not somebody you like, you're just like, okay,
Hmm.
well, that's my time to go to get some food or go to the restroom or go for a walk. Like, you know, um, but the cultural impact itself, like all those small details, was fun to watch, along with the music. Like, how can you not listen to that music, even if you don't know what they're saying? Like, how do you not listen to that music and go, like, at least move your shoulders or something, tap your feet, like, get into it or something, right? How do you not do that? Like, you got to hate so bad that you can't just enjoy the vibe. Like, this, we're talking about a nationally televised game. Do you think that he's really going to do something inappropriate or play a song that's super, like, no, right? But, like I said, man, Bad Bunny killed it. I thought it was great. He technically has I think he had the most viewers. He's number one for the most viewers that
Hmm.
like during a halftime show. He beat Kendrick. One person that's on there that I thought blew my mind, Michael Jackson. I believe the number is like 130.5 million, because the number for Bad Bunny was like I think 133.5 or something like that million. Michael Jackson had 130 million viewers in the 90s. Like this was streaming on Peacock, right? So like obviously people can it's easier to get to like to watch the Super Bowl. But Mike did this when there was no streaming,
Bro,
bro. Like we're talking about every household in America was damn near like watching Mike, right? But like that's what we're talking about, the importance of Bad Bunny and how good he is globally to have that effect, right? Like I mean, like I said, you not being a Spanish speaker, I mean, what did you think of it? Like, how did you feel about it? Because I think this is 2 years in a row that we've had people that have gone out there and represented for not only like try to put on for the world, but like just the fact of showing our culture. Like Kendrick did a great job of representing our culture. Same
mhm.
thing with Bad Bunny, representing the culture. But I mean, what did you think?
Everything you said was spot on. Like you said, coming as a non-Spanish speaker, I can't speak to that, but I think everything you said was all right. Was dead on as far as the cultural impact and how, as true Americans and the true American values that America was originally built on, how it should, how it should be embraced, right? But it was not for
Mhm.
people that we won't, from people that we won't get into or acknowledge. However, what I took from it and from the whole experience leading up and following, and like you touched on a good point, which is what I want to talk about, is that up until recently, it feels like you said, if you didn't like who was performing at the Super Bowl, like you said, you used that time to go for a walk, to go eat some more food, to kind of just chill out before the second
Mhm.
half started. Um, but it really doesn't seem like people cared much about who was at the Super Bowl until Rock Nation and Jay-Z got involved. Then it became a
Ooh.
lightning rod for people to use. Oh, well, now Jay-Z's involved, so that means I have somebody to point to that either I don't like and I can blame, or I can use as an unnecessary point of racist animosity for some reason. And I hate bringing that up, but it's a fact.
Did
Um,
you see what Kid Rock said?
I was gonna get to that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
And for anyone who doesn't know, and you can go find it. I don't even want to acknowledge this bullshit, but basically he said that he likes Jay-Z. He appreciates all of his wealth and everything he's done, but kind of feels like a DEI hire there. Yeah, sounds right. So that in itself is exactly why I feel like, yeah, nobody cared about the Super Bowl halftime show that much. You loved it, or you were like, I've seen better. But not up the last, what, 6 or 7, however many years,
Mhm.
now it's been such a, oh, who's going to do the Super Bowl halftime show? Oh, I better like it. Oh, if I don't like it, it's a problem and I need to tell somebody about it. Like, and this is, of course, with it being Bad Bunny and being 100% Spanish. And now you have all
Mhm.
of this, especially with, the climate and ice and all this shit going on. It made it that much more, congested with, all these
Mhm.
subplots. But I think that's what I took the most out of it, is like, even through all of that, we still got one of the most beautiful halftime shows that so many people saw, and yet so many people in the country where it was at refused to see. And that's the problem.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah.
problem that's going on right now. So that was
Yeah.
my takeaway.
And I think it's kind of funny because you talk about, like, Kid Rock saying those type of things. Now you have um Republicans and stuff calling for the NFL to be investigated because of the anti-American rhetoric. And as a Spanish speaker, I never once heard Bad Bunny say anything bad. The only thing he said was that the only thing that conquers hate is love. So you're telling me that it was un-American for him to, once again, I talked about this at the beginning of this conversation. When we say America, you're being lazy. We are the United States of America because we're states that are united as a country, right? We're not just America, okay? So you're telling me that you're so upset that he showed love to not only like the Hispanic North American and South American countries, he showed love to the Dominican, the Caribbean. He even called out Jamaica. Like, how are you so upset that he's trying to bring unity into this, that you have to hate and try to say that he's being anti-American? I mean, let's. I'm going to say this: there is no official language in the United States. Okay,
At all.
and even if you want to say English is it, English is technically, if we're really going to get into it, is technically a European language, right? Because they weren't speaking that here. You guys came here and started speaking Spanish or speaking English.
Mhm.
Then Spanish settlers came. Then Portuguese settlers. Like, it was a melting pot. That's what was great
Yeah.
about this country. And that's what is still great about this country. We're not going to let these people take us away from that. And that's what I think Bad Bunny did a great job doing. But like I said, the one thing I do want to add before we wrap this up and wrap this episode up, shout out to Lady Gaga. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
holy shit, dude. Like, what a rendition of a song that was already great. Her and Bruno, that song was already great. I loved it as is. When she came out and she did that rendition, wow. I mean, what a great version of the song. It was cool seeing her and Bad Bunny get to dance. Shout out to Ricky Martin, which that blew
I
my
forgot
mind
Ricky was
too,
there.
because at first I see him sitting there and I look at my wife and I go, is that Ricky Martin? Because it's been so long since I've seen him. Like, dude looks good for his age, man. He
Yeah.
came out there, killed it. Then Lady Gaga when it was out there. Shout out to the couple that actually got married. That was a real wedding. I thought that was pretty cool. So shout out to them. Shout out to, like I said, everybody that was a part of that. Jay-Z, I hope he keeps doing the great things that he's doing, because Kid Rock can hate. He can say all the stupid stuff that he wants to. But at the end of the day, everybody's gonna, not everybody's gonna love the halftime show. And there was a comedian that was making a joke about this, and he was just like, no matter who it is, like, people are gonna be mad. And the fact that these group of people had to go and do their own halftime show for something that, like, doesn't really even matter really kind of blows my mind. But just to wrap it up, shout out to Bad Bunny for doing what he did, for sending the message that he did. Could he have talked shit about Trump? Could he have used the snippet that he used in one of his songs, his music videos? Could he have used that there? Yeah, he could have, but he's not going to. He took the high road. He talked about love, try to spread love. They still want to spread hate. Do it. Go for it. Whatever. But eventually it's going to run out, because he's right. Love conquers hate. So anything you want to add about the Super Bowl or Bad Bunny, bro?
No, like you said, everything was spot on. Love always conquers hate. There's nothing that you could remotely find that is anti-American about that, unless you are, saying that hate is innately American, and by American you mean the United States. Which, in that case, that's something that you should probably figure out. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, but we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Appreciate y'all tuning in and everything. Once again, we're finally on YouTube, so you get to see our faces and everything. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Don't forget, check out the Substack for any articles, more videos, more episodes. All that'll be on there. We appreciate y'all hanging out. And coming up, we got another episode, and we're going to be talking about some WWE. So if that is a thing of your interest, make sure you stick around.